Alrighty, guys. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. This is True Crime in the Morning. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos. My friends call me Sleuth. Today, we will be discussing the Evansdale murders. It's a double homicide of Elizabeth Collins and Lyric Cook-Morrisey. Now, this is a crime that took place. They went missing July 13th, 2012. Evansdale, Iowa. At the time, it was called Myers Lake, popular fishing and recreation area in northeastern Iowa city of about 4,700 residents. And we'll get going here in just a minute. Hey, what's up, Mitzi? Mitzi says, learned about this case from following Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve is retired law enforcement. His channel is True Crime Web. Not much coverage around my area. Another awful case with two beautiful little girls doing what I did at that age. So scary. Yeah, that's what I love to do. I remember growing up in the 80s, the good old Reagan, the early Reagan days. Wake up in the morning, you don't care what you put on, your shoes are dirty. You know, you ask mom, hey, mom, I'm going to take off. Is that cool? Yeah, make sure you're back, by lunchtime or back before when the lights turn on, street lights. You get on your bike and you are gone. Every day was an adventure. I feel bad for today's generation. I didn't let my daughters do anything. So yeah, I feel bad that they can't just wake up in the morning, jump on their bikes and take off. Ooh, Copper Horse. 'Tis the season. You guys might want to take a look. It looks like Copper Horse was gifting some memberships. Thank you, Copper. Go look in your stocking. Sorry, guys. Before I go live, I go on my morning walk, and sometimes my allergies kind of start acting up. What's up, Donna? Driving and listening. Good to see you, Wanda. Night Shadow and Beach Fairy. What you got going on, Wanda? CJK. Sensei Wackadoodle. Happy Friday. Sup, Ruckus? Ruckus, retired law enforcement, knows this case quite well. Was just up there. Hopefully, we'll see him in the chat. This case is solvable, is what Ruckus says, and I 100% agree with that. Boston Christian, what's up? Bird Blue. Sleuth Hood. Cindy, how are you? So usually we give it about 10 minutes and then we'll get everything underway. Just want to give everybody an opportunity to get into the stream. Miss Dog Lover, Jerry. Mitzi again. Beach Fairy. What's up, D? Susie. Shadowbox. Big Bird. Mar R, Kate List, Susie, Eminem. How far is your walk? Do the dogs get to go? Yeah, we kind of rotate. One is too old now. He's got arthritis. Yeah, we keep a good eye on him. He doesn't go on walks. The other one, the pit bull, kind of is like can't handle the walk anymore. It's too seems like it's too far of a walk now. I'm not quite sure what's going on with him. And then the little dog will rotate with one of the other younger big dogs. But usually I take the one that's the most hyperactive. We go about 2 miles. My membership ran out overnight, so I'm trying to earn some Google points, my game app, because I'm a bit short this month. Awesome, Beach Fair. You sure you didn't get gifted? Thank you, Shadow. Shadow says spreading the love. Appreciate you. Good luck, D. Be safe out there on the road. Cindy, what's up? Arthritis sucks. Allergies affect animals too. Yeah, especially this little rat dog we have. Have you ever had a dog that's so ugly it's cute? It's not one of those snaggletooth dogs. Where it's got the hook tooth and a crooked ear. It's kind of cross-eyed. It's like those dogs are funny. Yeah, shout out to Copper Horse. So you may want to take a double, or you may want to double check. You might have a membership to the Sleuth Intuition channel. Thanks to Copper. We have a super chat. Sensei Wackadoodle coming through with the sponsorship. Thank you, Sleuth, for covering these cases and giving a voice to the voiceless. May there be justice for these girls and their families. Much love. I think it's very possible that this case is solved in the next couple of years, if not very soon. Over time, things change. Loyalties change. People who were keeping secrets, 12 years ago may not have the same loyalty or motivation to keep those secrets. So if you guys can keep putting pressure, covering these cases, just kind of talking about it, sharing these videos. I was going through some of the videos that were on YouTube on Evansdale. There really isn't a whole lot. The majority of videos that I seen were from people that I've worked with, like Ruckus and Randy Gravitt, who covers the Delphi case. There really wasn't a whole lot. All right, we'll get started here in just about a minute. Hey, what's up, Molly? Lisa Branham, welcome. Boston. All right, let's see who's just walking in. Camaro. Good to see you. Slay the rings. I know a little bit about the case, not much, just happened. No POIs or anything. Well, there's a couple POIs we're going to talk about. One I think has been cleared, and hopefully I bookmarked that article. But I'm pretty sure. And that's going to be in related to the Kathleen Shepard case, and that's out of Dayton, Iowa. For those of you who are not familiar with that case. Person responsible for her abduction and murder and abduction of her friend who was able to escape and survive. His name was Robert Carpenter. Or no, not Robert Carpenter. I'm sorry. That's not his name. We'll get into that. Robert Carpenter is somebody else. He's somebody that I believe lives near Myers Lake and told law enforcement that he did see the girls. He may have been the last person to see them, actually. Thank you, Smart Shopper. It's my pleasure. Thanks for hanging out. Eminence says, so hard for the families. Yeah, Drew Collins, he's very active in the case. He's very hopeful. He believes the case is solvable. The father of one of the victims, Mr. Drew Collins, he believes that the perpetrator not only was living in Evansdale at the time of the abduction, but most likely is still there. So that's a frightening thought. I mean, if you really sit there and think about that. Small town. What are the odds that you've been crossing paths with these people? Wish I had gotten more coverage. These girls and their family deserve justice. Yeah, it really didn't start getting a whole lot of coverage until the Delphi case. You know, it's kind of like what happened with Flora. People were so focused in on the Delphi case, they started seeing all these other cases that may be connected. Actually, I made a video on that. Here, let's watch that real quick, and then we'll get going. So this is a little video on why people thought Evansdale and Delphi might be connected. Ten-year-old Lyric Cook and 8-year-old Elizabeth Collins were killed on 7/13/12. 7/13/12 is a mirrored image of 2/13/17, which is the day Liberty German and Abigail Williams were murdered. Is this a coincidence? Are we dealing with a serial killer seeking power through occult rituals, numerology? Many pagan spiritual traditions incorporate the practice of numerology. The basic principles of numerology hold the numbers have a great deal of spiritual and magical significance. Let me know what you think in the comments. So isn't that crazy? It's like a exact mirrored image. So bizarre. It's as if you put it in the mirror, the date and the faces. So yeah, it's very bizarre. But law enforcement says there's no connection to the two. But how strange is that? Molly says, Sleuth, I agree. It is solvable. I wish. Oh, yeah, we already covered that one. What's up, Frank? Good afternoon. Good morning and good afternoon. It's morning here and it's afternoon there. It's for sure possible some of these crimes are related. But I mean, this is so bizarre. It's an exact mirrored image of the date. Let me take a little screenshot of that and play with this just to show you like how crazy it is. So 2, 13, 17, 7, 13, 12. Hey, what's up, smart shopper? So it's pretty creepy. Could be a coincidence, just very, very strange. Hey, what's up, Bogey? Welcome, welcome. All right, so let's go over an overview, just a case overview. This is some pre-recorded audio. I think it is about a minute and a half. 2012. The Evansdale murders refer to a tragic and unsolved
Can you
double
guys hear that?
homicide case that occurred in Evansdale, Iowa in July of 2012. The victims of the case were two young girls named Lyric Cook-Morrisey, who was 10 years old at the time, and Elizabeth Collins, who was 8 years old. On July 13th, 2012, Lyric and Elizabeth were reported missing after they went for a bike ride to Myers Lake, a popular recreational area in Evansdale. A massive search effort was launched involving law enforcement agencies, volunteers, and community members. Unfortunately, their bikes and personal belongings were discovered near a recreational trail at the lake, but the girls were nowhere to be found. Tragically, on December 5th, 2012, hunters discovered the girls' remains in a wooded area known as the Seven Bridges Wildlife Area in Bremer County, about 25 miles north of where they were last seen. The cause of death and other specific details have not been publicly released, as law enforcement authorities have withheld certain information to aid in the investigation. Despite extensive efforts by multiple law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, the case remains unsolved. Those with information are encouraged to call the Cedar Valley Crime Stoppers at 855 300 8477 or email our missing Iowa girls at dps.state.ia.us. Thanks for tuning in to the Sleuth Intuition channel. Please like and subscribe on your way out. So some audio I did for an old video. An Elantra. Oh, sorry to hear that, Molly. Yeah, we're kind of preparing for that right now. We're getting ready to go out of town, and we're going to take them with us. That way we can keep an eye on them. What's up, Kevin? You didn't miss much. We went over the overview of the case. Are you familiar with the Evansdale case? Elizabeth and Lyric. This case is out of Iowa, right near Waterloo. Yeah, thanks again, Copper. All right, let me pull up my notes, and we'll kind of go through it as we hit on all of the key points. Okay, July 13th, 2012. So the girls were seen at about 12:23 p.m. So let me pull up this map I made here. This might help us. Now I need to make a correction to this map. So right here, where it says the girls were spotted 12:30 to 1:30, and it has the marker at the entrance of Myers Lake or Angels Lake. as it's called now because of what happened. But take this marker and bring it over here to Lake Avenue. So that person, Mr. Carpenter, he lived right here. So grandma was watching the two girls. Hey, grandma, we're going for a bike ride. 12:23. Okay, girls, don't be gone too long. Not quite sure where they went. Now remember, they were last spotted here on Lake Avenue, right across the street from the, I think at the time it was a police department. It says Evansdale Fire Department now. Some kind of official building there. And their bikes were found on the trail in this area here. Now there was a purse and a phone found. The phone was not activated. I believe one of the girls was using it just, to access the games and things like that. Thank you, Leslie. Saska was asking earlier about a family POI. I don't know about a family POI, but there was questions about Dan Morrissey. But he actually addresses all of the allegations. It's because he has kind of like a shady past. He has some drug convictions, and he's actually in jail at the time of writing or being part of this interview here that we'll read a little bit later. This is the article right here. News7kwwl.com, a conversation with Lyric Cook's father from behind bars. This is a really good interview. This will kind of give you some insight to the kind of person Dan is. He seems like a good person. I don't feel at all that he's connected to this. Him and his wife are kind of strange in front of the camera, but I think that's how a lot of people would be. Not everybody's going to, put on that face for the camera, considering like, hey, somebody's going to be watching this video. No, they're just in the moment. It's a little long-winded, but we'll get through it. I think it's important. Let's go to Ruckus. I've been to both discovery scenes in both Delphi and Evansdale. I don't think they are connected. Yeah, the MO and things like that don't match up. The only thing really that matched up was the date and the two young victims and how close they were. The distance they were apart, it's easy for somebody to travel there and then back or back and forth. What's up, GP? All right, so let's take a closer look at Myers Lake. Okay, now you can see this area here. The water is extremely close to the trail. So at one point, they did believe maybe there was communication between the girls and somebody that was maybe fishing right here. It wouldn't have been hard. if somebody just happened to stop right here. I don't know, maybe they were able to lure the girls over somehow. I'm not sure. But they did drain this lake. And the girls wouldn't be found until December 5th. On Wednesday, December 5th, 2012, hunters came across 2 deceased bodies in the Seven Bridges Wildlife Park near Redland and Bremer County, a wildlife area about 25 miles from where the girls were last seen. Robert Carpenter was the last person to see them, and I'm quoting him here. They just went by on their bikes. They had a phone not activated. Went missing July 13th, 2012. Went missing around 1 p.m. Authorities never publicly revealed the cause of death because they believe it is information only the killer would know. I think some of the family members may have an idea, though. I think Elizabeth's mother commented that they may have told her. Thank you, guys. Let me zip on down here. Slathering says the important connection might just be 2 girls alone, possibly lured. Yeah, there was an expert on a video that I was playing. We're going to watch it at the end here when we look at the Shepherd case. But the expert says that is, that's a significant connection. Just the fact that it was 2 young girls abducted not too far apart. Because the same thing happened in Dayton, Iowa. And that's when they first thought they had the guy who may have committed the Evansdale murders. So they thought the Shepherd and the Evansdale was connected because 2 girls were abducted. It's just rare to see that, right? In Evansdale, you have 2 girls. In Dayton, Iowa, you have 2 girls. And then just across the way in Delphi, you have 2 girls that were abducted. But it's a little bit different because they weren't, in Delphi, they weren't out on the street. These other girls were just walking home or riding their bikes. Ruckus says these cases not being connected is just my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know. I think you might be right. But it is interesting to kind of discuss the connections. Because if anything, maybe the perpetrators have something in common. Lisa, yeah, not much has leaked about this case. Cause of death, I think the Collins family might know, but that's about it. Hey, what's up, Don Spain? Okay, so the main entrance is right here. Mr. Carpenter saw the girls ride by here. So that was the last time anybody's seen them. Now, interesting enough, they went missing right here. So the bike trail kind of cuts up through here. And they could actually ride that bike trail all the way home that way. But in order for him to see them, they would have had to have come through here and decided to go jump on the trail here. So Mr. Carpenter sees them ride by here. But why is it that they only make it to here? Or did they spend some time, kind of go around? Somebody sees them, and then by the time they get here. Now, the interesting thing about this part of the area is there's a cut in the fence here. Well, not a cut, there's an opening. And you can make your way into these trees here. And you can actually access this road. And not far away is another place where you could cross the street because there's a whole nother park here. See it? Now, if you were a fisherman on foot, you could fish this area if you wanted. No luck. You just cut right through here. That's what I would do. I'd fish both of these spots and not even think twice. So were they confronted by somebody in this area? Maybe somebody in a boat here? Or did somebody follow them as they were riding their bikes? Let me know what you think in the comments. Charmin showing the love. Yeah, good work, Ruckus. Ruckus says, I speak with Drew often. He's still deeply affected by this. He's a very strong man, though. He's extremely strong. He's a beaten man, and he just keeps going. I'm so impressed with the way he deals with this every day. Yeah. So am I, Ruckus. Mars says, a lot of murderers dump, you mean, their victims in places that mean a lot to them that they are very familiar with. I agree with that 100%. And we're going to take a very close look at the area where they were discovered. Yeah, shout out to Drew Collins for staying busy on this and not giving up hope for justice. Okay, now right here is where their bikes were found. And I believe the bikes were just leaning, almost staged. You know, you had the purse, the phone, and you had bikes leaning up against the fence. Now, it is possible because there's an opening in the fence right here. And there's little trails that go into these woods. Now, it's possible that something got their attention here. Maybe somebody in here with a puppy or something like that, you know? Like, hey, little girls. And they're like, what? And, you know, there's the puppy in some guy's hands, you know? I mean, I know grown people who wouldn't be able to resist that. You know, their just mind shuts off and they see the puppy. You want nothing more than to get close to that little cute critter. So I believe it is possible something got their attention here, whether it was somebody in a boat or somebody lurking in the woods or somebody that followed them into the park after being triggered by seeing them for whatever reason. But this is this is the area where all their items were found. 2 bikes, a purse, and a phone that was not activated. Eminem, I do believe by the time they found the girls' bodies, there was not a lot of opportunity for DNA. They have DNA. That's another thing that I believe that's similar, an unknown DNA. Sometimes that makes me think of a young perpetrator. Joey, what's up? I was thinking that whoever took them may have been fishing, and that is why they found them where they did. Yeah, those are two great fishing spots. Right here, this is a spot where you could fish here, cross the road, fish there. Now, if you want to drive 25 miles to another great location for camping and fishing, right where they were discovered. Now, it's even possible if you're here on a boat. Now, you got to remember there's houses right here, and they have docks back here. So, I mean, they would have had a view of the girls, somebody fishing in this area. And if they did something to them, they could easily bring them into the boat, cover them, hook the boat up to their truck, and leave. Leslie, they were found right here. Now, through this little corridor, they have it fenced off. That way, you're not just going directly into the water here. So you have a fence right here, and then you have a fence right here. But on this side that's closest to the highway, there's an opening. Yeah, the all Mike Patty, Drew, Becky Patty. Good to see you, Devoted. Okay. From this angle, you can kind of see the other park here. And I believe this road right here goes underneath the highway. But this is where their bikes were found. Anything I like, yes. Right here, there's going to be a fence keeping you from accessing, but you can actually go around that fence over here. The fence starts only somewhere in this area. But if you wanted to, you can make it to the water here. And here you can kind of see the fence. And who knows, maybe they had like a little spot they like to hang out right here. That's what we did as kids. We always had a little secret spot, you know, and you always went there. And you knew that your friends would just show up at some point, you know, start building a little tree house or like an underground fort or something. So maybe they just stopped and were exploring in here and they didn't realize they were alone, maybe. I don't know. What the hell happened? Or their bikes, maybe they didn't stop here and somebody just came and put their bikes right there. Marsh, let's take a look. It's about 25 miles. Yeah, and another thing is look at you can access pretty much everything right there by that park. You can get on every major highway or freeway right there. So yeah, you're looking at about 20, 22 to 25 miles. So to me, Evansdale is the anchor point. Evansdale's the anchor point. He goes, "This is his, I'm going to go put him here." That's far enough away. And then I'm coming back home. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, Charmin. And just being that person, standing up in the public eye, taking the blunt force, you know, it's like the moon for the planet, taking all those hits, all those asteroids. It's commendable, but it's not, I don't think it's easy for him. So I agree with you. Hey, what's up, Audrey? Audrey Kassim. Kassim? I've watched Drew in a few interviews, and it breaks my heart for him and his family. Well, it's because you can totally see the pain written on his face. Mar R, were these girls' bodies staged and posed? I don't think so. Not that I know of. Riding around the lake? I'm not sure how far they made it. I have a feeling somebody followed them into the park, maybe. And when they followed them, they kind of noticed that maybe they stopped. They may have put themselves in a high risk area without even knowing it, like, "Oh, cool, check this out. Check out this trail. Let's go check it out." Not knowing there was a predator kind of watching, from a distance. Bogey, maybe the perpetrators have something in common. Nice observation. Thank you. I have my moments. Not often. The scene you laid out is why I say possibly lured. Why were they on this bike ride? Is it possible they were talking to people online? Well, this was this is a much older case. They didn't really have access to online. One of the girls did have a phone, but I mean, you could barely play like, um, I guess, old video games on it. Investigators didn't seem to take an interest in that phone whatsoever. It was just something that was in the purse, maybe. Nothing used to communicate with. But that is a good question. Were they going there for a purpose? Were they meeting somebody? If they have DNA and no DNA match, another thing that I noticed, there's a skate park right here too. So I'm wondering if maybe some older boys could have been responsible for this. Old enough to drive, maybe. 16, 17, 18-year-old boys. Because if you see the bike path here, you have carpenters spotting them here. But if you notice, the bike path goes right next to this skate park here. And if they have DNA and there's no match, could that indicate a younger perpetrator? Somebody who hadn't had time to get into the system yet. Bird Blue, in my opinion, they're connected, if not by the same person, at least by the same people involved in Delphi. I just don't think there's enough to say that, but it could be right. I don't have enough to say it. I should correct that. Has anybody ever suspected Carpenter? He could have just planted bikes and a purse on the trail. Exactly. That is very possible. But I think he may have been looked into or still maybe is considered a suspect. Because if they're riding the bike right here, they could have easily have been lured here, lost their life here, bikes planted. Because the thing is you can park right here if you wanted to, pull off the side of the road, walk through these woods, and plant the bikes there. Or you could even park here, walk through this grass field. I don't know. I think people would see you, though. You would have to do it from this back way. Nobody would even pay attention to what you're doing. I guess either or, right? I mean, it's just hard to say. It's a mystery. It's a mind-melting mystery. There was some camera footage that they found. I just don't know where it is. Like, I haven't been able to locate this area. So you can barely see it, but over here in the right upper hand corner, that is the girls there. Now, wherever this location is, there's a whole bunch of like sheds. So I don't know what this place is. But it actually caught them riding by. Yeah, it could have been a crime of opportunity, Trinity. Wanda, didn't he place their bikes elsewhere to throw off the location they were found in years later? No, they found the bikes that day around 4 p.m., I think. Odd to see someone maneuvering a bike that belonged to a kid with no kid there. Yeah, you would have to do that somewhat secretively, right? So I think if the bikes were planted, I think somebody stopped off that freeway, grabbed the bikes out of the back of a truck or van or whatever, went and placed the bikes there, knowing damn well that they were there at that park that day. So I wouldn't rule out teenagers either. Eminem, I've seen too many cases where the last person to see the victims is the perpetrator. Yeah, but not always. Taco, what's up? Do you think there's more than one person of interest? Well, whenever you have two victims, it makes you wonder, like, oh, you always come up with these scenarios where it seems impossible. But honestly, if you're luring somebody and you can get the victims to do it on their own, or you can have a tool like a weapon or something very scary, to get them to do what you want. It's not like you're walking up and picking, somebody up with each arm and you're walking with them. You're using the power of persuasion. And honestly, I think one man could just walk up to him and grab him, but I don't think that's likely. I have a feeling this was a group of people, 2 to 3. I'm thinking they used the method of having a car nearby and then just overpowering the girls. Where you have somebody driving, they drive up, and then you just push, you just grab the girls and bring them in. We've seen that on multiple cases, where you kind of have a guy hanging out on the street. You think he's all alone. It's kind of like what they say happened in the Johnny Gosh case, where all of a sudden a car pulls up. And we've seen this in sex trafficking cases as well. The man is on the street already, looking nonchalant. Car pulls up, and the door just swings open right as you're walking by. So you look over at the car like this, like, what the hell's going on with this door open? There's nobody even in the back seat. Not knowing that the man that's leaning up against the wall is now pushing you from your right side into the car. So it could have been like an ambush type scenario. Car pulls up, two guys get out, grab them, throw them in, and they're out. I just don't know how that explains how the bikes were leaning up against the fence like that. To me, they either did it themselves or the girls went into a scenario where they just rode their bikes in, like to somebody's house or yard, and then they were placed there later on. I did pull a video. Her name is Rose Ward. I think she's local to Evansdale. If you want to check out the full video, she actually has 3 full videos. I didn't want to play them all. So if you guys want to go check them out, she rode the entire path. Basically, what the girls would have, the path that they would have taken. She shows you everything. She shows you the skate park, the police station, Carpenter's home. She gets off her bike and kind of goes back in those woods, and we're going to look at part of that where she's showing us this trail system and the fence and where the actually, let me pull it up on a map first to kind of let you guys know where she's at. So her video starts here. She starts filming, and then she'll go to the opening in the gate, and she'll show you like the trails that kind of go through here. And then she walks up a little bit further, and there's like a water pumping station right here. She kind of walks back here. You can see the water in the background when she's in these trees. And then she follows this path out and shows us Carpenter's home. So let's take a look at that real quick. And like I said, the link to her channel is in the description. I recommend, if you have an interest in the case, to go check it out. I think it's a 3-part. She broke it into 3 parts. But here it is, Rose Ward.
Okay, I'm down at the lake, and this is the corner where the girls bike. I'm down at the lake, and this is the corner where the girls' bikes were found. And this is the southeast corner.
So to the left here, just on the other side of this fence is water. You have the lake. And here to the right, you'll have a small area of trees, very thick brush. And just on the other side of that is the highway. And on the other side of the highway is another river.
I'll get on my bike and I'll ride a little ways and I'll try to find that trail. All right. I'm on the trail, southeast corner.
So their bikes, I believe, were leaning up against the fencing here. I don't know if it was on the right or the left, but they were leaning up against the fence. So to me, that's either the perpetrator staged them there to make it seem as if maybe they are in the water, perhaps, or the girls parked their bikes, because that's what I used to do, find a place to lean the bike and then go do whatever you need to do, get back on your bike. So I don't know if something got their attention right here.
Okay, I'm at the very end of the fence on the southeast corner. I'll pan and show you. There's a trail.
Okay, so she's saying it's not an opening, it's the end of the fence.
Here's the fence. And then right here, it looks like there's a trail that leads back into the woods. It's nowhere wide enough, I don't think, for a
So if you follow this, you're going to hit the highway. Now, if you keep walking up about 50 yards, you're going to be able to cross the highway and access this park over here. I don't think you're supposed to do that, but you could if you wanted to.
vehicle, but there's a trail there. It looks a little wider back in there. I will go around the other side and see if I can find the road that goes in there.
Ruckus says there are literally hundreds of places that the suspects could have taken the girls to between the abduction site and where they were taken to. So what do you think happened, Ruckus? Do you think that the bikes were planted, or did they get off their bikes and kind of go into a troubling situation? What do you think happened? Is that the road on the left side? No, it'd be the road on the right. And we can go back to the beginning real quick. So yeah, you have the road on the right and the lake on the left.
Trail that leads back into the woods. It's nowhere wide enough, I don't think, for a vehicle, but there's a trail there. It looks a little wider back in there. I will go around the other side and see if I can find the road that goes in there.
Yeah, if you're going out on an adventure, this looks like a cool place to go check out.
Okay, I walked about 10 feet. I'm still looking. I'm on the lake side of the trail. And this is another foot trail that leads back in there in the woods.
Audrey says, I think the phone or purse was on the other side of the fence. That I don't know. Rucky says there's a lot to consider. The bikes could have been dumped there. This is for Ruckus. Can you get a vehicle into that area? Yeah, she says you can, just not right here. She's going to show you that it is possible in some of these areas. And we'll take a look.
Goes back in there a little ways.
Slatherings, I don't think that anybody saw them at the actual park, or nobody's come forward and said that, from my understanding. The last person I believe is Mr. Carpenter.
I go back in there, but
Not sure.
I really don't want to get poison ivy. And I didn't wear boots. Maybe I should have wore long pants though. Anyway, that's a trail, foot trail it looks like. Looks like maybe cars can get down in there from this way. I'll
Welcome back,
up
Molly.
and show you. This is looking east at the end of the paved trail, and then there's area where you can go back in there. We're still southeast of the lake right now.
Okay, let's see if we can figure out where she's at. Southeast of the lake. Not quite sure. She said the end of the paved trail. Southeast would be like over here. But I do believe she might be right here.
Right there.
Yeah, that's exactly where she is.
The trail that goes
north.
Yeah,
so she's right there where the trail goes up. Let me pull that back up. So yeah, she's right here. She's saying you could probably get a vehicle back up in here.
This road is Arbutus.
Not likely. She's just
leads
saying it's
to
possible.
the Cedar Valley Nature Trail underneath the bridge on the other side of the Cedar River. Okay, this is that building, the pump station, and I'm on
I think so, Eminem.
the gravel road from Arbutus Street. And
Arbiter Street. Let's see where that's at. Oh, okay. Arbutus is right here. So I think she came back this way. And now she's like over here in this field.
And I'm looking south, and there's the woods. Let's see if I can find a trail. Pump station, woods. Looks like a bare
she's
area
right there.
down there. It might lead over to I don't know. Like there's a path that goes around by that big old tree down there. You see the path there, and that kind of.
Sensei says maybe there was a dog puppy that was thought was abandoned. Hear a dog crying, dismount from the bikes and go and investigate, and then be taken. Yeah, there could have been maybe a transient or somebody just back there. I'm just not sure how a transient would get them from there 25 miles away. That's the only reason I don't pay attention to that theory, which is the best theory with what we have. But it makes me think more that the bikes were planted, maybe. This one's for Ruckus. Figured people had to have seen them almost until the spot they disappeared because of the populated area. So this is basically where they were last seen, right here. The entrance to the park is here. They were caught on a camera somewhere in here, but Mr. Carpenter said he saw them ride by. They rode by on their bikes. So what are they doing all the way over here? To me, that means that, and this was right around 1 o'clock. So they had just gotten there. Bikes weren't found until about 4 p.m. So this tells me that they didn't go in through the main entrance over here, but instead they kept riding by. Either going towards, they would have gone right here by the skate park and accessed the trail here, or anywhere between where they started and were last seen. Anybody could have been following them. They could have made contact with their perpetrator somewhere in here. Taken into a nearby home, bikes left here, and then taken to Seven Bridges. I'm going to speed up on this video. Not really much to see here. Not much context on this part here, but she will go out onto the street here, give us an idea of what the girl saw.
This is Lake Street. I'll go up it.
Okay. So she's here on Lake Avenue. She's leaving this area here. And she was kind of showing us what it looked like, all these paths and ways into the towards the water here. Now she's riding this way and going up Lake Avenue.
When I get to the old man Carpenter's house, I'll let you know. 10:10, I think he said, or something. Remember, this is his house, little small house on the corner.
Okay, so that's so the way she's leaving,
Remember, this is
so they were seen right here. So he was out in front of his house, and across the way, I believe, is a police station. It might be a fire station now. So I guess they could have even come down this street, right? But I have a feeling they just went by. Either to go hang out at the skate park or to access the bike trail. Or they never even made it past this area. Who knows?
Remember, this is his house, little small house on the corner.
Day and time of the abduction, it was Friday, July 13th, 2012. They went missing at 1. Bikes were found around 4. So they were abducted between 1 and 4 p.m. Yeah, I've seen it, Molly. Yes, you can. Anything. Let's take a look at that. Now, I don't know if you can do that legally. But I mean, if you need to pull off on the side of the road, you got to pull off on the side of the road. Okay. So this is where their bikes were found right here. Bikes, phone, and a purse. around 4 p.m. And they were spotted right over here at 1 p.m. But yeah, you could easily park right here. Pull over, walk through these trees, go around the fence, leave the bikes, come back, get in your vehicle, take off. You could even access the freeway that takes you to Seven Bridges from this road. So this is that road here. Could dump the bikes here, get on the freeway. Or, well, I don't know. If the bikes weren't found until 4 p.m., it is possible that they came back. I think that somebody would have seen them maybe more. The likelihood of them being seen that way would have been greater. But I mean, if they weren't found till 4 o'clock, I wonder if they could have already driven back and then placed the bikes there and then went home. But I have a feeling that if they would have taken the bikes with them, they would have just dumped them out here. So that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Sees through. I don't think they were lured. If she left the bag and phone, it seems took with force. Yeah, grabbed and then everything that's in your hands just falls out. Or it was staged and placed there. Don Spain, what's up? We can't know things about the bodies. They were in the woods for 5 months. Yeah, there's certain videos we can't play, Eminem. I'm not trying to get struck. I got struck on an Evansdale video before. From a local reporter, but I think it's because he's putting a documentary together on the Evansdale case. Okay, so let's move on to Seven Bridges. So now we have an idea of where it's located. Okay, so you get off the major highway on the 270th Street, 270th Street. And then right here, you can access this camping area. It's basically a big loop. You come in and it's the shape of a balloon. And then you exit. But you can also come in like you're going to go around the loop, but instead of going around, you just take a right. And here, there's a road that leads you back to a camp spot right in here. And it looks like a great camp spot. It seems like it would be somebody's favorite spot to go camping. So, I mean, if you know anybody that might stick out to you that is familiar with Myers Lake, Evansdale, and also likes to come camping right here, or even here, or knows this area, I mean, I definitely would say something if I were you. It wouldn't hurt, you know? What's the worst that could happen? The guy laughs it off like, oh, I was tipped in. Then investigators can take it from there. Okay, so this is something that I made here to kind of give you a better idea. So instead of taking the loop over here, you kind of cut off to the right. There's a smaller loop, fire pits, and all kinds of things here. So whoever it was stopped here and either carried or walked them out here. I don't know the time of death. But they would have had to walk them through here. So I don't know why they're spaced out. Unless he had to carry them one at a time. Or if we have two different individuals. Here, we're running out of time, so I do want to read part of this article. Also, Ruckus might be able to speak to this. There was talk of a vehicle. Let me see. I think there's a description. I think I asked Drew about it, and he gave me an answer. Okay. So this is law enforcement. We realized that we have 3 different people, 2 early on and 1 just a couple months ago, that came forward with information that identified a white SUV type vehicle. Now you could definitely fit bikes in an SUV. Each witness reported seeing an older box style SUV at 3 different locations near Myers Lake on the day the girls went missing. So I don't know, Ruckus, if you know anything about that. Say it looked like a Chevy Suburban or a Ford Bronco or something similar. Okay, now I think this article was before he was actually arrested. Lyric Cook and Elizabeth Collins went missing July 13th, 2012. About a year and a half later, Lyric's father, Dan Morrisey, was sentenced to 90 years for multiple unrelated drug charges. Early on in the investigation of the disappearance of the cousins, Lyric's parents spoke to KWWL a handful of times. We haven't heard from Dan or Misty Morrisey in nearly 4 years, but recently Dan has decided to share his story and speak exclusively to KWWL. July 13th, 2012 was a nightmare for the 2 Evansdale families. A few days after Lyric and Elizabeth went missing, Lyric's parents spoke to a group of several reporters at Myers Lake. That's where the girls' bikes were found. Lyric's father, Dan, in an interview nearly 5 years ago. It's hard enough to get up and deal with the reality that your daughter's gone. FBI divers were called in to search the lake and eventually decided to drain it. Behind the scenes, investigators were also conducting interviews, but besides waiting for their 2 little girls to come home, Dan found himself in and out of court on previous unrelated drug charges. In one of the court hearings, he wore a Bring Elizabeth and Lyric Home shirt. He even spoke to KWWL after a court hearing about his daughter, making a plea to the public for their safe return. Lyric, if you're out there, I love you, baby. I just pray that you're okay. Sadly, the bodies of Lyric and her cousin Elizabeth were found 5 months later at Seven Bridges Park in Bremer County. About a year later, Dan was sent to prison, convicted on those earlier drug charges. Now he is spending at least 30 years at the Fort Dodge Correctional Facility in Fort Dodge, Iowa. For years, KWWL has asked for an interview with Dan. This time around, the prison turned us down. But Dan wanted to speak with us. He wanted to share his side of the story. Dan's daughter, Lyric Cook, was born on October 2nd, 2001. She'd be 15 at the time of this article. Oh, she'd still be smiling and loving everybody. She was just the type of girl that would just brighten up a room. She was just so wonderful just to be around, so trusting and so loving, says Dan in a phone interview from prison. Dan says he thinks about Lyric every day, and getting through her death has been a process, a long, difficult process. I have God first, and I just understand that I need to start to live and to be thankful for every moment that I had with her, and grateful for the opportunity to be able to raise her and to love her and to know who she is, says Dan. He says authorities gave him yearly updates on the case, and he's been open and honest with them. Dan says despite his troubled past, his past drug use has nothing to do with his daughter's death. Yeah, it doesn't even make sense if you think about it and play it out, said Dan. You know, why would this happen? If I had any idea of somebody that was in my life that I owed money to or had threatened me or anything, you'd think I wouldn't know who that person is. You know what I mean? So I mean, that would be the number one suspect on the case, and this thing would have been solved a long time ago. But there is absolutely nobody in my life that I owe money to or that I have told on or anything like that. That has nothing to do with my daughter. And why would they abduct Elizabeth and my daughter at the same time in another town that my daughter's not even from on a random bike ride that nobody knew they were going to take? It doesn't make sense. Dan says he's not sure what happened to his daughter and niece, but he believes the murderer's days are numbered. Time is not on their side as far as they have to live with this every day, and so they can't hurt me anymore, said Dan. They can't hurt her anymore because I've moved on with my life, and my daughter doesn't have to suffer in this world or anything. So the only person that is suffering now is this person and the other people who haven't healed like they should yet. Interesting. Okay, so one of the suspects, what the hell was his name? Here, let me just pull up these few videos. It's the Kathleen Shepard case. They thought it was connected to the Evansdale case at one point in time, but I believe since then that is no longer the investigators' belief. Let's start with this one.
Escaped kidnapper and murderer Michael Klender believes he's responsible for doing the same thing in Evansdale to two cousins. Emily Price with insight on this investigation, new at 10.
Two Iowa towns, two sets of girls about the same age, vanished on a sunny afternoon just months apart.
The fact that there was two in both cases seems to connect them.
The kidnappings happened about 100 miles from each other in northern Iowa towns, both not far at all from.
Yeah, and if you go, I think, 600 miles in the opposite direction or 400 miles, you'll hit Delphi.
Highway 20. Three girls died, Lyric Cook and Elizabeth Collins from Evansdale and Kathleen Shepard from Dayton. Desi Hughes managed to escape the Dayton kidnapping, and yesterday she and her mom and stepfather spoke to us about what happened.
Still be looking for both of them, I believe. And we wouldn't even know who, what, when, where, why, or how. He'd be moving on to the next set, and I believe that. I don't think he was ever going to stop.
Do you think that he's responsible for the girls in Evansdale?
I do, personally. And I'm sure that there's some that people don't know about that he's responsible for because he's got quite the track record.
Klender already served 19 years in prison for two kidnappings and assault. His history and the similarities between Dayton and Evansdale are now why law enforcement are investigating where he was when the Evansdale cousins disappeared.
Of course, they'll be looking for anything they can get out of cell phone records, any witnesses that can say they were there or identify the vehicle.
Police consultant Bill Mulder, who was not connected to the cases, says they're also tracking Klender's work schedule, purchases to his credit card, DNA evidence, and the way in which the girls were killed in order to determine if Klender also murdered the Evansdale cousins. Mulder says finding a connection will take luck, time, and solid police work.
It's running down all of the possible connections
I think it's
and making
possible,
sure
see-through.
there are no other alternative explanations for those connections.
Mulder points to one specific piece of evidence in the Dayton case, zip ties that Klunder used on those girls. He says investigators will definitely be looking to see if those were also used in evidence.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to control two victims, right? Zip ties.
Goodbye to Kathleen Shepard, the 15-year-old Dayton girl who loved the Minnesota Vikings and singing karaoke with her dad, went missing more than 3 weeks ago. Her body was discovered Friday evening in the Des Moines River west of Boone.
I've been involved in a few searches and some training exercises, but nothing to prepare me for this, no.
Police say Shepard and 12-year-old Desi Hughes were kidnapped by Michael Klunder while walking home from school. Hughes managed to escape.
About right here, here she comes. Right between the car, right next to the car, just sobbing. And I couldn't understand what she was saying. But then we walked over.
Let's go to this comment by Ruckus. He says that the highway was being worked on that day, so traffic was moving very slowly. You know, that may have given somebody an opportunity to kind of look around.
Over here. And we got the story from her, like say right about here. And then we didn't move. I had the phone by then. And Jeff he got her some water too. I was over there kind of on the phone while they were like right here. He was cutting those things off of her and he gave her some water.
So
then
she was zip tied when she escaped.
The shop, got a gun and hightailed. When she had got out, she did say while she was running across this field out here that she could see the bad guy in his truck on that gravel road looking for her.
How scary is that? So the people that found her, she escaped. Her friend died. Her friend was killed shortly after this. But said while she was hiding and getting help from this gentleman that the killer was still looking for her. You know, he wasn't trying to flee the scene. He wasn't trying to get away. He was trying to kill her as well. That's a much longer video, but we're out of time. This was Kathleen Shepard getting off her school bus. This is the last time anybody saw her. Of course, other than her friend who was kidnapped with her. 2 victims, 1 man. A large man, but nonetheless. But from my understanding, law enforcement is saying, and I think it might be the DNA, but they say the cases are not connected. About an hour and 42-minute drive from Dayton, Iowa to Evansdale. Oh, that's interesting. Thanks, Ruckus. I should be able to pinpoint it. Yeah, I'm not sure. But you guys, that is all of my time. Sorry I couldn't give you all of the information I had prepared for you. Let me catch up on all the comments here. Thank you for that, Ruckus. Feeling like, GP says, I'm feeling like maybe it could have been a homeless person. And they seen the girls, and maybe the girls got frightened. Homeless person got frightened. Things went sideways. Well, that would make sense if they were on their bikes and then they were discovered there not far away. But how would this transient get them from that point all the way to Myers? To me, this is somebody who had a means to hide them, to lure them, uh, or even ambush them without others seeing. I'm starting to lean more towards the bikes being staged there. That sounds good. I believe they were. I'm not sure. They're being pretty hush with that information, but I do believe they have DNA. So if you guys could please hit the like button on the way out. Replay crew, let me know what you thought about today's live stream, what you think about the Evansdale case. Leave me a comment. I'll get back to you. If you are watching, consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, consider becoming a member. Hey, Joey Sleuth, it could be one guy. Very possible. He has a small dog, and the girl saw it as they went by and stopped, and then he could get them in the car and go. And maybe he doesn't even need the car. Maybe he's walking on foot. Maybe he's walking his dog, sees the girls, sparks up a conversation. They're petting the dog. Oh, yeah, she has puppies. You guys can have one. They follow him to a nearby house. Nobody sees him. Leave the bikes. Leave the bikes. We'll be right back. Or bring the bikes and I'll stage them later. So he doesn't have to be in a vehicle now. Could be on foot, living nearby. And then later on becomes mobile. Yeah, I'm leaning towards staging too, Trinity. And I think Evansdale is the anchor point. So I agree with Drew. He believes the killers are still there. Killer or killers are still there in Evansdale. Ruckus says, I believe the girls were still alive and walked to the location where they were found. Do you know when? Were they taken directly out there to Seven Bridges? I'm assuming they were taken out there that same day, walked out, and then killed right there. Right? Does that sound right to you, Ruckus? Yeah, younger than Delphi. 10 and 8, I believe. Elizabeth Collins was 8 years old and Lyric was 10. Molly says Clunder abducted too. Yep, he used zip ties. Trafficking? No, I don't. I think this is a crime of opportunity. Yeah, I mean, we used to just jump off our bikes and let them crash. You know, you don't even let the bike stop. You just hop off and just let it kind of flop around. So I can see them just parking their bikes and being distracted for sure. Yeah, it is a good ambush point right there. I could even see somebody maybe laying in wait. Maybe seeing the girls go around the park maybe 2 or 3 times. And then on the third time, you're just like, hey, I'm going to ambush them this third go around. Hey, what's up, Kelly? Ruckus says, I don't think the bikes were planted. Elizabeth wouldn't just leave her purse. I think one of the girls knew one of the suspects, but they were snatched. Ruckus says, I don't think the bikes were planted. Elizabeth wouldn't just leave her purse. Well, if the bikes were planted, I'm assuming that her purse would also be planted. But I'm not sure about that. Thank you. You would hope, Miss Dog Lover. Ruckus, you can drive a vehicle on that path around that whole park. Purse and phone. Phone wasn't connected. Yeah, shout out to Molly. Welcome back. I'm not sure what the motive is. Yeah, me too, GP. Whenever I want to go find a secluded area, you always run into like a vague it's not, what is it? What's the word? Transient. You know, somebody that's just living off the area there momentarily. Just back in the brush, off the beaten path. Most homeless are not homicidal. Some are. Substance abuse issues. Yeah, there's a lot of crime, you know, in Skid Rows. So I'm not here to badmouth the homeless, but let's not play dumb when it comes to that. Mar R says, yeah, and most substance abusers aren't homicidal either. No, but most homicides are related to drug and alcohol abuse. Alcohol is involved in a lot of homicides. Later, anything I like. Well, thanks for hanging out in the chat, participating. All right, guys. Sorry I couldn't get to all of your comments. Let me try to find one more down here. Thanks for hanging out, Trinity. Good to see you, Mar, Slatherings, GP, Eminem, Boston. I don't know, sees through. They could have taken them to the Seven Bridges, and that could have been where they assaulted them. You know, they could have went directly from there to there. Hey, what's up, Chopper? Welcome. Frederica, good to see you. Later, Slatherings. Vampire Bite. Solar Chef Steph. All right, guys, that's it. I am out of here. I will see you guys later tonight. I think I'm going to be going live possibly to discuss the Delphi case. So I will see you later on in the day. Make sure you guys enjoy your Friday and have a safe weekend. And thanks for hanging out here for another episode of True Crime in the Morning. If you know anything about this case, the tip information is in the description. Take care, everybody. Peace out.